I wanted to make a quick video of a process I've been using in a handful of webinars and talks I've given recently to demonstrate how you can quickly take an API or take an idea that you have for an API and turn it into an API with like 5 minutes or less, so that you can convey that idea to someone else. And so I wanted to create a little video for a specific story and a specific set of conversations I'm having with other folks. So this is just a quick and dirty way to deploy an API. So I have an idea for a handful of the restaurants that I want to highlight in Oakland that are still available for takeout. I live in Oakland, California, so having a list of restaurants that are available still do curbside or takeout pickup is relevant, and this is something that I would like to see available as an API. But I kind of want to plant the seed with a mock first, and so this is something that I would probably do for Berkeley, San Francisco, other regions. But I'm going to start with Oakland. So I've got a list of 4 restaurants here: name, address, phone number, and details about that restaurant. Pretty simple little JSON example of being able to find restaurants that are still available. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and copy this JSON that I have of these 4 restaurants, and then I'm going to open up my Postman, which, let's go to my personal workspace, and let's zoom in a bit here so that y'all can see what's going on. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new request, and I'm going to call my API restaurants, and I'm going to add a query parameter for city, calling this Oakland, because I know that I'm going to probably do Berkeley next and do a couple others. So this is my imaginary API that I want to make available, and so I've got restaurants. I'm going to get restaurants. I'm going to hit save on this. I'm not going to send it yet. Let's give it a name, because before we save it, we gotta give it a name, and then we've got to create a collection. And I'm gonna call the collection the same thing for right now until I come up with a better name for it. And I'm gonna hit save. So now here I've got one request in a collection for calling my imaginary restaurants, which if I hit send, I get nothing because there is no URL in here. This is just a make-believe path to my API. So what I'm going to do, though, is using Postman up here by the send button, I can click to add an example. And I'm added an example that's named restaurants, that's got the same get path that I want. But I'm going to go back to my JSON here. I'm going to grab that. I'm going to hit save. And because I'm the API evangelist, I want this to have a proper HTTP status code. And then I also want to make sure that it passes in the right content type, or it returns the right content type, excuse me. And here's my body, which is also going to be JSON, and I'm going to hit save. So now I've got my API request with an example of what should be returned. Now for my collection, I can come over here, click on the dot, view more actions, and I can choose to mock this collection. So I'm going to give my mock a name of restaurants. Now you can choose to include this with an environment. I'm just wanting to be quick and dirty, so I'm not going to create an environment. You can also make this mock private so other people can't get at it. They have to actually use their API key to get at it. I'm just going to make it public for quick and dirty purposes to make sure it's easily and readily available. So I'm going to create mock. I'm given a URL here. This is my new mock server that was just deployed by Postman. So if I go back here, it just opens it up in a new tab, which is a little weird, but I'm going to copy the URL. I'm going to close it out, and I'm going to append it to my previous API call, because that's what we're missing here, right? So we're missing a URL for this to make this an actual API. I'm going to hit save, and I'm going to hit send. Look at that. I get back my 4 restaurants. Now I've got a URL that I can share with other people if I want to drop that into the browser. I've got an open API that returns some JSON, and then if I want to make any changes, I can just basically add things to my restaurants. I can add more examples for Berkeley, and then I've got pretty much my mock API that other developers and other people can actually put to use, allowing me to go from API idea to actually functioning API that other people can use when building an app. Now, if I want to go one step further and I want to publish docs for this to make it even more tangible, because this will make it more usable and by other people pretty quickly. So I can say publish docs. Now, there's a lot you can do when you're publishing your docs. You can publish it with an environment, add a custom domain, you can change the colors, you can register it in the directory. I don't want any of this. I just want to hit publish, because I'm looking for this URL right here that allows me to load up docs for my restaurants API. So now I've got a documentation that I can actually give someone that's a little more tangible than just giving them a raw JSON response. But whatever you want to do, now I can share this URL and they can come here, they can use the run in Postman button, load up the collection, they can make calls, they can mock it, they can generate code snippets in a variety of code languages, and they've got a copy of the restaurant's mock API that they can use. They can use it at my mock, or they can publish their own mock. So that's a quick way that you can go from JSON, basic data, to full-blown API mock server with docs in about 5 minutes. I'll check my time on this to make sure I actually hit it once I save this video. But hopefully that demonstrates a quick way that you can get an API up and going. Thanks.